Madhav Joshi for its presentation to our group on 3 T's of India, Tata, Technology and Telecom, and share its perspective on the factors that significantly contributed to the productivity of Indian economy in the past 3 decades. I came across Madhav reading the review of his book in Marathi in Lokasatta newspaper titled Majhi Corporate Dindi, Journey of My Career in the Corporate World of India. I bought and read the book in one sitting. Fascinating and so well written. We will get to read this story in English very soon. Until retirement in 2013, Madhav worked for 41 years, starting with 2 years for Cotton Corporation and Meltron Company of Maharashtra, 28 years for multinational corporations, including 11 years with Tata Telecommunications, all in Mumbai, traveling world over for work. He continues to be advisor to Tata Telecommunications. To some extent, while working in India, I was part of policy development for mobile telephones and deregulation process. Last summer, Madhav was visiting his daughter in Boston area for the pleasant task of welcoming the new grandchild. We then had a long telephone conversation about his experience and realized that our careers in India have so many parallels in the corporate world. On my suggestion, Rajani has invited him to speak today. As Madhav will narrate his fascinating story, I must admire that he has stayed in Dombivli suburb all his life and is still active in the social life there. He has helped many other Dombivlikers in building excellent careers in the corporate world. Rarely a company secretary who normally performs very mundane functions climbs the corporate ladder that Madhav had done so successfully. Over to you, Madhav.
Yeah. Thank you, Vivek, for your generous introduction. I can see some of my friends, my college friend Sucharita Sapre, she is there. She is niece of Sulabha Deshpande, the stage actor. Then I can see my 20-year long colleague, Mr. GSM Sridhar. He also is a consultant to Tata Teleservices, and our association goes back to more than 20 years. Then I can see also Jayan Falke, who is the younger generation in the social services field in Dombivli and our colleague on many organizations. I can also see Mahadev from Washington, my wife's classmate. So I welcome all. Thank you very much for inviting me here and giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts on 3 T's of India. So let me start with the presentation. I will share the PowerPoint presentation. I've got a very bad throat, but of course I don't have to sing, so there is no problem. 1 second.
Madhav, you want to do it full screen?
Yes, I'm making it full screen. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Let me start with a story. This is our agenda: telecom, technology, Ratan Tata man I worked with. Okay, let me start with a story. I was working, that must be around 1997. I was working as an executive director in Bayer. Some people pronounce in India it as a buyer. So I was an executive director, and my job was to acquire companies for Bayer Germany and have a joint ventures with them, and later on to take care of those companies, be on the board of those companies. And it was a Ganpati day in 1997. Every year I make it a point to go to my native place for Ganpati festival. We bring our Ganpati idol at our native place in Konkan. So that year the pharma high power team from Germany was visiting on the day of Ganpati. So I had to skip going to the native place. So naturally, I was very much annoyed. And we had a lunch session in Hotel Leela near International Airport. And I don't know how the conversation veered around the Indian customs and our Indian pharma head that time. And I have seen many people, whenever they are with the foreigners, they try to do India bashing to show that they are progressive and the others are not really that progressive. And my pharma head in India started with the custom of sati. And he started narrating that this was there they used to burn alive a bride, very young girl, and they used to forcibly burn her. Then they were having long bamboos with them. So, and they were trying to push her if she tries to escape from there. They were beating drums, and he was, so much. And our German friends, they were saying, yeah, we can't imagine, we can't imagine, we can't imagine. My colleague, Mr. Mistry, was with me, and we had a sign that whenever something wrong is happening, he will kick me under the table. So he kicked me under the table. That was a signal that, okay, stop this conversation. Yeah. So then I told my pharma head that Mr. So and so, nothing unusual for them. They have killed millions of people in gas chambers. There was a silence on the table, and then our conversation came around the proper subject of pharma. So this is how I find with many people India bashing. So I'm not one of those who do India bashing. At the same time, I'm not the one who goes out of the way as a social media campaign to praise the government. So you would view my presentation as it is supposed to be a balanced presentation. If somebody finds any exaggeration in that, kindly point it out to me. So let us come to the first subject. It's on the telecom. We are going to cover the growth, whether it is reaching every citizen, and technology. Are we importing the telecom gear or equipment, or what is the position today? It will be interesting to see how telecom started in India. It was in 1853 that it started as a telegraph in Calcutta. The India was being ruled for those 100 years by East India Company, and they had their headquarters in Calcutta, and they started some 26 miles length telegraph route in Calcutta. That is how the telegraph came in India. And the people say that the privatization of telecom services started in India in 1994 when the mobile started, but it is wrong. The privatization of the telecom service started way back in 1881 when as a result of the agreement between Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, they established Oriental Bell Telephone Company in New York, and also they set up Anglo-Indian Telephone Company Limited, and that company provided the telecom service in India till India became independent in 1947. So the privatization started way back in 1881 and not in 1994. And since independence, government was running the telecom service. Then Mahanagar Telephone Limited, which gives service in Delhi and Mumbai, was first to be established as a government corporation in 1986. And then Bharat Sanchar Nigam, or the BSNL, which provides service as a government body in other places, means except Mumbai and Delhi. All the other places, BSNL is providing the service. It was formed in the year 2000. And this private mobile phone service started in 1995. And in 2009, there were as many as 9 private operators in each geographical area. Currently, there are only 3. This number 9 has reduced for various reasons. This number has reduced only to 3 private operators. That is the Airtel or Bharti Airtel, Voda Idea, and Reliance Jio. India was one of the few countries which made the incoming calls free. That happened in 2004, much ahead of many developed countries, and it led to the exponential growth of the mobile subscribers in India. It will be, I think you may be probably aware of it, that the telecom tariffs in India are the lowest in the world. And not really because of the pressure from the government, but it's a pressure of the competition. Average revenue per user per month is only about $2 or $3. And in this $2 and $3, a person is getting unlimited calls all over the country. And also the average data consumption per month is about 19 GB, which is the highest in the world. 19 GB per month. If you compare it with the US scenario, where generally the unlimited calls and a 4 GB data on 4G and sometimes 5G is available at about $8, or the entry package is about 15, and then if you continue, then it reduces to 7 or 8 per month. So in India, the rates are about 25% of whatever are being charged in USA, or for that matter in Europe, and the data consumption is very high compared to these countries. These are the operators and their number of, this is their market share in terms of the number of subscribers. Reliance Jio, which is listed at on line 3, that is the highest subscriber market share of 37% in wireless, that is the mobile telephones, and 30% in landlines. Landlines are really very few currently. Then on the second position is Airtel or Bharti Airtel, which 32.16% market share in mobile. Let us not discuss anything about wireline, because as I told you, it is a very insignificant portion or insignificant number when you compare the total connections in India. The third position is taken by Voda Idea. Earlier it was Vodafone and Idea separate, but they got merged, and now it is Voda Idea. They are having 21.11% market share, but this market share is going down. We will come to that in the next slide. Bharat Sanchar Nigam and MTNL, together they are having about 10%. Government companies are having about 10%. The government is spending a lot of money to revive these, and now they are going to launch this year 4G connections all over India, and the minister has announced that they will launch 5G also next year. Probably with that, and the Tata Group TCS, which is in the top 10 companies in the world in the software, it is going to do the implementation of this 4G and then maybe the 5G also. So probably the days of MTNL and BSNL may change. Their market share may increase from next year. Airtel is not only present in India, but it is present in Asia and Africa also. And as I told you, it is on the second place in India. Jio is present only in India. Tata and Voda Idea lost about 1.2 trillion rupees in mobility business. So Tata exited mobility in 2019. They gave their business to Airtel. Voda idea are continuing, but Voda has a debt of over $25 billion. And it is on the brink of bankruptcy. Government is converting about 2 billion of their dues into equity, and they will become 32% equity holder. And promoters, that is the Vodafone UK and Birlas. The idea was owned by Birlas, Kumar Mangalam Birla. They don't intend to pump in significant funds. So probably in a couple of years, I won't be surprised that they go in for a bankruptcy. And that will leave only Jio and Airtel as a private operators. No other private operator has, international private operator, or for that matter, the Indian operator has entered telecom since 2012, when 122 licenses were cancelled by Supreme Court. After that, the new foreign direct investment in the mobility hasn't come to India. So this is, I think, a very busy slide, but let us see only couple of items here. Total number of subscribers are 1170 million, that is 117 crores. And teledensity is the number of subscribers or the number of connections divided by the population. It is around 84.56% is the teledensity, and the urban teledensity is low, but that is but natural. Urban subscribers are about 65 crores or 652 million, and rural are 518 million subscribers. So, but it is fairly spread all over the country. You can go to any state or any village also. The the telephone signals are available, and the people are in rural India. The people are not only downloading videos, but they are making videos of their farms or some certain things happening in the villages and sharing it frequently with the people here. So that is how this ICT, the internet connectivity, has spread in the rural India. The farmers are using it to get tips from the experts for agricultural operations also. That was telecom. The scenario is good, but the only two operators may be there after 2 years, and so it will be sort of a virtual duopoly situation between Airtel and Jio, which is very dangerous unless BSNL and MTNL also shape up and come to serve the country. Now the technology, India, past, present, and what future holds. I have tried to capture, there was one video which was being circulated, that was a speech by the CEO of India Invest. It's if you see the last bullet in this slide, it was the India Invest was organization, Government of India organization set up in 2015, and it is currently engaging around 450 management and postgraduates from Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, and all other places. So this is an organization which is trying to attract the foreign investment in India, and digitization is of the government procedures and is government machinery is happening at an unprecedented scale. Foreign investment since independence in 1947 is about 900 billion, short of 1 trillion. So, but interesting thing is that in last 5 months, 532 billion was received from 162 countries in 61 sectors, and that too in 31 states of the government, and 93% of this investment is coming under the automatic approval route. That shows that the red tapeism also is reducing, and it shows the trust the foreign investors are showing in India, because it is coming from 162 countries, 61 sectors, and it is coming in practically all the states in India. And as regards GDP, the India was number 10 in 2015. Currently, it is fifth, and 2/3 of that is coming from the domestic demand. It is India has just last week become the highest populated country with 1.4 billion. But very interesting and the promising thing is that the average age of the population is 35 years. So it's a really very promising. It holds very promising future for the country. Youngest and the largest democracy in the world. If you take the case of 2019 general elections for parliament, out of 140 crores or 1.4 billion population, 900 million are eligible to vote. Out of that, 600 voted. So two-third the voters voted, and 90 million were the first-time voters, means whose age was 18 or 20 years. So you can just imagine what would be their aspiration from the rurals. These 90 million first-time voters, they would be really having a lot of aspirations and expectations from the rurals. In 2015, India was 122nd rank in mobile data usage. Today, India is the first in usage, as I told you, 19 GB per month per person, and it is higher than US and China put together. Data consumption of US and China put together, the Indian data usage is higher than that. 70 billion digital transactions are taking place or took place in 2022, year 2022, and that also is the highest in the world. Rapid growth of startups and unicorns also is there. India is ranking third in the world. And as per the IMF projection, in year 2047, India will have 20% of the world's workforce and 20% of the middle income consumers. So very, very exciting scenario for FMCG and other companies. I already told you about the Invest India and 450 MBAs they are engaging. If you take the case of COVID-19 situation, India has shown the world that what it means to be anti-fragile. The capability shown by India during the biggest crisis in this century, 2019 trillion vaccine doses were administered. Initially, at the time of the first dose, the people were running out of the villages. The opposition parties were saying this is a ruling party's vaccine, we are not going to take it. And still, the ruling party came over all this situation, and 2.19 trillion vaccine doses were administered. And that time the government started giving free food, 35 kilo per family of 5. And it is still supposed to continue till the end of 23. 800 million citizens getting 35 kilo per month as a free food. India has reimaged its governance. Wherever possible, as I told you, they are trying to digitize the process. The biggest example of this is that the former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, in one of the speeches while addressing his party workers, has said, if in India government disburses 100 rupees subsidy, only 15 rupees reaches the actual person for whom it is meant. The 85% is gobbled up by the intermediaries. Intermediaries mean the government organizations or the politicians. The current rulers, they found a, they found a way out of it. They opened 472 million bank accounts under a scheme which is called Prime Minister Janadhan Yojana. All the banks were directed to open these bank accounts and not to insist for any minimum balance. And rupees 28 trillion were directly transferred without any intermediary to these accounts under various schemes. So you can see that 85% of this 28 billion has been saved or has really reached, or the full amount has reached the beneficiaries. The tax revenues have grown exponentially. The tax revenue in the current, this coming year will be 33 trillion rupees against 11 trillion in FY14. So in about 8 years, it is tripled. For the first time, the C-DOT, which is a lab set up by Department of Communications, Government of India, and Tata TCS, which is the Tata Group, the number one company, they have developed in India 5G stack. Stack means the equipment and the software which is required for starting any 5G service. So India, which was the net importer of telecom gear, will be exporter in next 15 months. 15 countries have shown interest in importing the 5G stack from India. The government of India gives a production incentive to identified sectors, especially the electronic component and equipment. And one of the items which was identified under this was the handsets, because the handsets were being imported in India all these years. So about 10 billion of handsets have been exported in the last year out of India. Apple have 3 toll manufacturing facilities in India where iPhones are made. And India has started manufacturing end-to-end high-speed trains also. And another thing, unimaginable thing which has been done by India in the last 10 years is issuing of Aadhaar, which is a DNA fingerprinting based identification. It has been issued to 1.3 billion, 130 crore people are having Aadhaar identity. And this Aadhaar identity is one of the major proof for getting the subsidy or getting the facilities under the government schemes. And it is also linked to the tax identification number, which is PAN. So the government has tried to make a sort of a foolproof system that the people can't evade the taxes. As per IMF and World Bank, India is probably the only country slated to grow more than 6% in the current calendar year 2023. And India's emphasis for last couple of years is on green technology. India has, sorry, that figure is wrong. It should be 2070. India has set a target, which is approved in COP27, is that India should become carbon neutral by 2070. IMF and World Bank just last week they supported this assessment, and the IMF has said India will achieve the carbon neutral target much before 2070. Forex reserves are now very healthy. After China, Japan, Switzerland, and Russia, India is the 5th largest on $561 billion. It is the 5th largest economy, 3.2 or 3.8 currently trillion US dollars. And the topmost is US with 23 billion, China 17, Japan is 5, and Germany is 4.2. China has just made a statement before a couple of days that they may be overtaking US during this year or the next year. knowing the importance of India as a country which is very near to China and which is the largest democracy, US and India cooperation, it currently at the highest level. And the indication of that is that the US has agreed to share technology in many of the sensitive areas with Government of India. And this month only, the National Security Advisor Ajit Doval was welcomed into White House by Jack Sullivan, and they launched an initiative called Next Milestone. And this is to bring about a tech spurt in India that could change the entire business landscape between two countries and strengthen the linkages between two countries. In the field of semiconductors, the world is currently facing shortage of semiconductors or the chips. Because of that, all the electronic equipments, cars, their deliveries are getting delayed. US will now support the development of fabrication ecosystem for semiconductors in India, and there will be joint ventures will be promoted. And if you see from the next bullet, you can read the names. Many senior people from the defense side also, and the emerging technologies, national security related people also were part of this meeting held by Mr. Sullivan. And both the countries are having a lesser-like focus on aligning Washington and New Delhi's strategic, commercial, and scientific approaches, especially in the field of technology and development. And there is a cooperation between NASA as well as the ISRO from India. And the new innovation bridge will now be established to connect defense startups on both the sides, which is really it shows the confidence both the countries are having about each other. And whatever the US never exports technology as in the sensitive or the critical areas, nuclear areas or defense equipments, but this is changing, and the US has said that they will make the necessary legislative changes to export that technology or provide that technology to the joint ventures to be floated in India. Another important thing which India, is highlighting, or India is getting highlighted in the world, is that lithium and cobalt has been found in Jammu and Kashmir on a very big scale. And currently, the world depends on imports from China and other countries. So this discovery of the lithium also is going to propel India in the favored nation league. And on the 5G and 6G initiative for telecom also, both the countries have agreed to launch the joint initiatives. Some people say that because US is rich, the roads and infrastructure is good. But I think the fact is that because the infrastructure is good, the US and the European countries are prospering. So the current ruling party has recognized these needs right from 2015. And instead of, there are about 16 ministries in the Union Cabinet which are dealing with the infrastructure like railways, roadways, waterways, and all these infrastructure ministries have been brought under one multimodal connectivity or multimodal national master plan, and it is called Prime Minister's Gati Shakti. These phrases also, or the titles also, are really very catchy. Gati Shakti. And They are doing integrated planning and implementation of infrastructure, and the multimodal connectivity is intended to provide integrated and seamless connectivity for movement of goods, people, and services from one mode of transport to other. And the object is to reach the last mile consumer or the last mile citizen and reduce the travel time for the people. And artificial intelligence is being used very extensively in coordination and monitoring of all these projects. To give you a couple of examples, Nagpur is being linked by road with Mumbai. It's a 701 kilometer road. It's a 6-lane expressway. It is passing through 390 villages in 10 districts, and there are 19 new towns which are proposed on this stretch of 701 kilometers as growth centers. And it is going to cost ₹500 billion and about, it is going to ₹500 billion or $6.5 billion. And the first stretch was inaugurated, that is between Shirdi and Nagpur has already opened, and the remaining portion should open by end of this calendar year. And the entire thing is financed by loans from the government, infrastructure corporations, and there is no foreign borrowing for this particular stretch of road. Another ambitious project is 1350, 1350 kilometers expressway between Delhi and Mumbai. It is going to cost ₹1 trillion or $13 billion. And first phase has been opened by the Prime Minister last week. Expected completion by December 23. So at least by mid 24, it should be fully operational. Optic fiber is being laid down to connect all village panchayats. 70 to 80% of the work has already been done. 5G has already been launched by Airtel, Jio, and Bharat Sanchar Nigam is planning to launch it next year. So that is a good way to connect India. About 3.5 lakh kilometers of rural roads are getting constructed. 80,000 kilometers of national highways are getting constructed every year, and 2 lakh kilometers is the target by 2025 of the national highways. 35 multimodal logistic parks are being planned, and the work is half done. So this will provide, this will really pep up the infrastructure and the logistics in India. Metro railway also is being built in practically all the top cities. And in terms of metro route length, India is at number 5. And by the end of this calendar year, it will be number 3 in the world. And this is the PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan, or the connectivity, is not only for speed to construction of infrastructure, but it is for reaching the last man who is affected or who needs help. In that direction, the government has identified 100 aspirational districts. Instead of calling them backward districts, the government has kept the target of developing these 100 districts, and they call it 100 aspirational districts. Atmanirbhar Bharat was the slogan which was coined by the Prime Minister Modi before 3-4 years. Now, ISRO, which is the Space Research Organization of India, has totally launched 385 satellites for 34 different countries till November 2022. It is working as a very good commercial model for ISRO. Many countries are using this facility because it is much cheaper compared to the other multinational companies and the other countries. Another ambitious project is 75. India has been importing billions of dollars worth weapons from various countries. So right from the time of Manohar Parrikar, the government has identified this sector for making in India. And now the target is 75% of the defense requirements should be sourced indigenously. And very heartening thing is that India has exported $10 billion worth of defense equipment, including Agni missiles. And the target is 25 billion exports by year 25. What is important here is the direction change. India, which was a net importer of defense equipment, is now going to become the exporter of this defense weapons. And another thing which shows agility of the country is that after Ukraine war, there have been sanctions imposed by Europe as well as US on all the on Russia. So they could not import the oil directly from Russia. And so India has increased the import of crude. Two Indian companies, Reliance and one other company, has started importing crude oil from this Russia in a big way. And they do the refining in India and they export it to Europe, USA, and also the virgin gas which is created, that also is exported to USA. So India has turned the war calamity into opportunity. Another welcome feature is the private sector. Up till now, the defense production was happening by Defense Research Organization, Government of India. But for last 4 or 5 years, the private sector is encouraged to make defense equipment. Say Mahindra, Tata is there in a very big way in defense. Bharat Forge also is in very big way defense manufacturing. And the major aircraft manufacturing components is being done by Tatas for many, many years. The first Apache helicopter is scheduled to be delivered by Tata to the army in exactly in another 11 months' time. Tata and Airbus, they will manufacture C-295 military delivery aircraft in Vadodara between 23 and 25. It's an import and the technology transfer agreement. And the government has set up many groups and labs to encourage innovation and use of internet or artificial intelligence and the latest technology. India is currently, in November, India has become the president of G20. G20, you name any major country, it's a member of G20, including US, all European countries, Japan, China, everybody is a member of G20. India will be president till November 2023. And these G20 countries are so important that they represent 90% of global GDP and 80% of the global trade and 2/3 of the world's population. And the main summit is in Delhi in September 2023. Many groups or the committee meetings have started happening in India. The world leaders are participating in that. And the India's theme for this is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, or One Earth. One Earth, one family. One Earth, one family, one future. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And it is taken from ancient Sanskrit text of Maha Upanishad. Recently, there was an earthquake in Turkey. 151 people, that is the 3 teams of National Defense Relief team from India went there along with a dog squad, and they really earned a lot of praise of the Turkey government. Bill Gates will be in India from Tuesday. His foundation does a lot of work in India, and he wrote an article in Times of India just before 4 days, and he was all the praise for India. Yes, as India has proven it can tackle any big challenges. The country eradicated polio, lowered HIV transmission, reduced poverty, cut infant mortality, and increased access to sanitation and financial services. And he also goes on to say that the pace of its development, its skills in the rolling out large-scale programs, and its people's innovative expertise mean that India can be a key part of making progress on today's biggest challenges. With this, we come to the third part of my presentation. Ratan Tata, man I worked with. I worked with Mr. Ratan Tata between year 2005 and 2012 when he completed 75 years and he retired from the group. From the any active life, he retired from the group. So about 7 years I worked with him. What is the Tata Group? The annual turnover is 128 billion. 2022 figures are not yet available. Almost 1 million employees are in the group. Out of 200 odd companies in the group, only 29 companies' shares are listed on any stock exchanges, and still the market capitalization is $311 billion. The brand value, as regards brand valuation, Tata brand value is about $23 billion. And very important thing is that the Tata Group is owned 66% by Tata Charitable Trust. So whatever the dividend or whatever the profit is earned by Tata Group, 66% flows back to the society by way of a charity. Mr. N. Chandrasekharan, or popularly known as Chandra, is successor of Mr. Ratan Tata. And another landmark event which happened, which was praised by American, French President and the Indian Prime Minister, was Tata Group now has started re-owning Air India, which was established by JRD Tata as Tata Airlines, and then it was nationalized in 1956. But now it has Tata has won the auction and has taken back the possession of Air India. Air India placed order for $150 billion with Boeing and France for about 470 aircrafts to be delivered over a period of 5 years. And as I told you, the US President, French President, they lauded this order because when the things or the business is heading towards a recession, this is something which is really, really required by the world. Mr. Ratan Tata is educated in Cornell. He's an architect. Then he did the Masters of Business Management from Harvard. For both the organizations or for both the universities, Tata Group has given hefty donations, and there are Tata Hall and some 20 scholars from India can study in Cornell under that scholarship. He became Tata Group chairman, not because of death or anybody. JRD Tata handed over the chairmanship to him in 1991. And Mr. Tata, as I told you, retired in 2012 when he became 75 years. How is this person? He is very shy. He is not a page 3 person. He doesn't like to read his name in the newspapers. He is very ethical. Or I would say extremely ethical. Very trustworthy person. That is a characteristic of the Tata Group. He loves dogs. He loves cars. The Indian cars made by Tata Motors as well as by the foreign brands. you will be knowing that Jaguar and Land Rovers are owned by Tatas, and those were really rejuvenated by the Tata Group. About this person, I would like to narrate a couple of incidents. How I got connected with him and my memories about this person. He's currently now 85 and not keeping very good health. So not taking, as it is, he doesn't like, and he doesn't take any public. So public appearances have really reduced a lot. In the year 2011, there was a report by Indian auditor, what we call CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General of India. So that CAG gave a report that the government led by Mr. Manmohan Singh, it was the Congress and the coalition government, they issued 122 telecom licenses in the year of 2008 at a price or without auction, at a price which was set up in 2001. So because of that, about 1.76 trillion rupees were lost by Indian exchequer. 1.76 trillion rupees were lost by Indian exchequer. This was known as 2G scam. And because of this scam, the telecom minister, then he belonged to DMK, that is Karunanidhi's party. So Karunanidhi's daughter Kanimozi and Mr. A. Raja, who was representing that party as a telecom minister, they were arrested. Many managing directors of telecom companies private telecom companies were arrested that time. And the Supreme Court cancelled 122 licenses because those were issued at a very low price. So this is known as 2G scam. And so this 2G scam was being, after there is a practice or there is a requirement that this auditor's report is placed before a committee of parliamentarians. There are 22 members of parliaments who are members of this committee. It is called Public Accounts Committee. So Public Accounts Committee debates and suggests, ways and means or measures which should be taken on the CAG report. So they were doing this study or investigation into the CAG report. So they called Mr. Tata as a witness or for recording his statement. And the day was 5th April 2011. That was Gudi Padwa Day in Maharashtra. The same day, another person, Neera Radia, who had become very unpopular that time. She was a telecom advisor to Tata Group. Also, she was a public relation advisor to Tata Group. She was summoned in the morning. That time, I was the president regulatory and president legal of Tata Teleservices, which was running the telecom service, mobile service, and the landline service in India. And Mr. Ratan Tata was, because he was summoned, he wrote a letter to the committee chairman, that is Murli Manohar Joshi of Bharatiya Janata Party. The opposition leader is the chairman of the committee. The BJP was in opposition that time. Mr. Tata wrote a letter to the committee that I would like to be accompanied by Madhav Joshi and Mr. N. Srinath, who is the managing director of Tata Teleservices. So Murli Manohar Joshi promptly replied that you are welcome to bring anybody you want, but please inform their names to us. So our names were communicated. Our slot was 2:30 to 3:30. They had given us 1 hour time. And there were 22 member of parliaments were part of that committee. Neera Radia was given a time same day in the morning. She appeared. Her reply or her answer to each and every question was, I don't know, I don't remember. So all these 22 members were really frustrated and Nira Radia's meeting got over in about 45 minutes. And in the afternoon, I don't know, but they were very skeptical whether we will or Mr. Ratan Tata will reply to their questions, because their advisor Nira Radia had not replied the questions. We went there, and then Mr. Tata told the committee that I have a knowledge of telecom, which is like a pilot, 30,000 feet view. So the replies will be given by Madhav and Srinath. So is it okay with the committee? So Murli Manohar Joshi, as a chairman of the committee, said yes, by all means they can reply. But remember, in our minutes, we will write that all the questions were replied by Mr. Tata. So you think over whether you want to reply or you want them to reply. Mr. Tata promptly said no. Some questions I will reply, but most of the questions will be replied by Madhav and Mr. Srinath. So that is how our meeting started. And the committee wanted to know the history of privatization in India. So I was requested to take them through the history of telecom privatization in India. And our slot was only 1 hour, as I told you. And I told the committee that I'm going to take at least 25 minutes of your time if I have to take you through the history of privatization in India. So committee chairman said, yeah, by all the means. I mean, 1 hour is not something which is, that we can go totally even beyond 1 hour also. So that was the first indication that they may take more time also with us. So I started with the history of Indian telecom, and I took them through in about 25 minutes. Every 5 minutes, 7 minutes, I was asking them whether I should continue or whether they would like me to wait. And then that is how the meeting happened. Then there were questions which were based on the party lines. The opposition parties were trying to trap us. But overall, it was a very good meeting. And when we came out of the meeting, Mr. Tata told me, before our meeting, I had told Mr. Tata that if you are going to reply any question, your reply should not be more than 3 minutes. So when he came out, he told me, you broke the rule and your reply was 25 minutes. But he says, yes, good that you could avoid 10 more questions because of your 25 minutes history narration here. And the Murli Manohar Joshi came out, and then he had a chat with Mr. Tata and me, and he appreciated that we were very frank in replying all the questions. And so Mr. Tata also volunteered that time that if you feel that any question we have not replied properly, inform us that we will send you the written reply also that. So our meeting was really very good. So that is, and for preparing this, preparing for this meeting, we spent about 8 days, 10 days working for 8 hours, 10 hours. And the day our meeting happened, Mr. Tata came from Paris and he reached Delhi hotel at about 7 in the morning. And our preparation meeting was scheduled at 8:30. He entered the hotel at 7 o'clock and he was in the meeting room before us. He was there at 8:25, no jet lag, nothing. So that is how the man is. Very, very hard worker and very understanding. Another trailblazing example of Mr. Ratan Tata is that also relating to the telecom. Docomo is a company, telecom company in Japan. It is number 1 or number 2 mobility company in Japan, and a very well known and shares listed on the Nasdaq as well as on other stock exchanges also. So Docomo had a joint venture agreement. They signed a joint venture agreement with Tata Teleservices, that is my company, in 2009, and they invested about $3 billion in our company. And that time, one of the conditions of our shareholder agreement was that if the deal, as a part of the deal, if the Indian company, Tata Teleservice, doesn't make a profit, in next 4 years' time, then the Tata Group will return 50% of the amount, that is $1.5 billion will be $1.5 billion will be returned by Tata Group to Docomo. And unfortunately, our company did not make a profit in those 5 years. And we were, as per the agreement signed between Docomo and Tata, we were required to give return or refund $1.5 billion. That time in the Indian currency, it was about 8,100 crores rupees, a hell lot of money for any corporation. And so there were, we approached Government of India, Tata Group approached Government of India that we want to refund this money to Docomo because we have violated or we have not fulfilled their condition of the agreement. So in that position, Reserve Bank of India, for any small remittance out of India, that time it required the approval of Reserve Bank of India. My friend Mr. Wavikar from Boston, who worked with Reserve Bank of India, is on the call. Sorry, we approached Reserve Bank of India, and Reserve Bank of India flatly refused permission for the remittance. So we tried to convince them that it is a contractual obligation of the Tata Group. We don't want to violate our agreement. We want to remit this 8,100 crores. So many people, many officers from the Finance Ministry also told us, "Are you fools? We are telling you not to remit. Why are you remitting 8,100 crores? 1.5 billion is a lot of foreign exchange." So that time, Docomo went for a international arbitration in London. So myself, then some other lawyers, Mr. Harish Salve, we were there for about 13 days in London in the arbitration, and we lost that. The arbitrator also said that the Tata Group should refund $1.5 billion to Docomo. So that time the chairman was Mr. Cyrus Mistry. Again, we approached Reserve Bank of India with arbitration award that we want to remit the money. Again, the Reserve Bank of India said sorry. So probably that time there was a decision at the highest level in the group to accept the government decision. But then Mr. Tata swung into action, and he advised Docomo to file a case in Delhi High Court seeking the refund of the money. So Docomo filed a case in Delhi High Court asking for $1.5 billion from Tata Group. And the Delhi High Court, Reserve Bank of India again appeared and they said, sorry, they can't remit this money. So the Tata Group lawyers as well as these Delhi High Court judges, they asked Reserve Bank of India, you show us a rule or a section under which you have the authority to reject the remittance request. Reserve Bank asked for time, couple of times, but they could not show any rules. And then Delhi High Court gave a ruling that Tata should remit $1.5 billion. And that is how Mr. Tata ensured that the group remits $1.5 billion, even though it's a hell lot of money for the group. That's why the Tata and the word trust, they go together. The Tata is trust. Another example, I will conclude. I think I will take five more minutes. Rajni, is it okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Not a problem.
Okay. So let me narrate you. All of you, there may be fresh in your memory the terrorist attack on Bombay or Mumbai of 26 November 2008. It went on for 3 days, and they attacked about 10 places in. They attacked 10 places with bombs and automatic rifles or machine guns, and about 166 people died in that terrorist attack. One of the target was VT, or now it is CST station, Many people died at VT station. And another target was Tata Group Taj Mahal Hotel near Gateway of India. So that day on 26th of November evening, Unilever world team, the world chairman, his family, and world directors, they were the guests of the Indian chairman and the Indian managing director. And they were having a party in Taj Mahal Hotel. About 200 guests were there. And when the party was about to end at about around 10:30 or 10:45, that time there were some sounds like firecrackers. So somebody thought that, okay, maybe some marriage procession on the road outside must be going, and firecrackers must be there. So, but then the lady who was supervisor for that particular banquet hall, she closed the doors of the banquet hall and she told all the 200 guests to hide under the tables. And she took another care. She separated husband and wife for the safety, for ensuring safety of the family. And so husband was in one place, was hiding under one table, while wife was hiding under another table. There were gunshots outside in the passage. The whole night they spent like that. The Taj staff kept on giving them water bottles which were there in the room. And next day morning, there was a fire in the passage outside the banquet hall. So the guests who were there was a smoke inside the banquet hall. So the guests who were there, they climbed the windows of this room was on the first floor of the Taj Mahal Hotel. And the guests started climbing the windows of that banquet hall. And the fire brigade people who were outside, they saw these guests. And with the help of the ladders, these 200 people were evacuated from the first floor without any casualty. The lady supervisor, Samira Jagad, she was the last person to get down on the ladder. Another incident, there was a Japanese restaurant, Wasabi, in Taj Mahal Hotel. There were about 50 guests who were having dinner there. Mr. Thomas, George Thomas, was the head waiter for Wasabi restaurant. He told all the people again to hide under the table. And in their next about 1 hour's time, he found there was a circular ladder which was going down to the ground. So he escorted the guest through that ladder. And of course, George Thomas, he was the last person to, in the queue to get down. When he was on the last step, he fell prey to the bullets of the terrorists. So he saved 50 people, but he died himself. So there were about 11 casualties from Tata Group Taj Mahal Hotel, but they saved about 1,500 to 1,600 guests were evacuated because of their bravery. There is no company or there is no drill in the world where any such training is given to sacrifice your life for the safety of your customers. Nobody gives such a training in the world. But these employees, being the Tata Group employees, because of the values of the Tata Group, they rose to the occasion. 11 of them, they lost their life, but 1,500 guests were saved from Taj Mahal Hotel. So that is a group, that is the leadership. And the story doesn't end here. This battle was going on for almost 3 days. Mr. Tata is a high security risk, but this person was standing with the police officers and fire brigade officers on the corner of Taj Mahal Hotel almost throughout those 3 days. Even though police were telling him that, sir, you should not be taking this risk, he did not budge and he was waiting there. There were about 165 people in Mumbai who fell prey to the terrorists. 34 foreigners were in that. Mr. Tata and the team, they went to almost residences of all the people. There were some people who were the vendors, like the fruit sellers on the road. They got injured. Mr. Tata helped them personally with the capital to restart their business. And another noble thing which was done by Mr. Tata was he set up a trust for the benefit or for the welfare of the people who died in this terrorist attack. And he helped not only the Taj employees, but all the people who died in this, as well as all the people who got injured in this. They were helped out of this trust. And the trustees were the wives of deceased George Thomas, who fell prey on the last step. His wife also was a trustee. Another employee's wife also who lost life was a trustee. So they also got something to do or something good to do in the life after having lost the husband. Another story of the same thing is Mr. Kang, uh, who was the general manager of the property, Indian Hotel or the Taj Mahal Hotel property. His two children and the wife, they were staying on the 6th floor, which is the exclusive floor of in the old wing of Taj Mahal Hotel. He is given a flat in that on the 6th floor. So Mr. Kang, when this terrorist attack happened, Mr. Kang was in the adjoining Taj President Hotel for some meeting. His family was on the 6th floor, and he rushed back to the hotel, Taj Mahal Hotel, and got busy in saving the guests. When he remembered about his family, he was told that in the fire which was there on the 6th floor, his two children and the wife, they succumbed to the burn injuries on the 6th floor. But the person did not inform his parents till next day, 1 o'clock. When he got little bit of respite, then he called his father and told him that this is what has happened. So see the people, see the group. That's why it's really a pleasure and honor to work for this group. I have been really fortunate to be associated with the group as an employee for about 13 years and as their advisor for the last 10 years, and the association still goes on. I'm really proud that I am a Tata employee. I think on this maybe a sad note of 2008 incident, I will end my presentation. So I will now take any questions you have.
Since we have small crowd, let's do open mic.
Yes.
And unmute yourself, turn on your video and ask a question of Madhav Joshi. Before we start the questioning, I think I really want to thank Madhav for his amazing encounter with the Tata Group. And I must say he's a lucky person to know Mr. Tata. As far as India growth is concerned, you capsulized the entire information so nicely. In 10-15 minutes, we know where India is going and what India wants to do. So thank you for that.
My pleasure.
So any questions, comments for Madhav?
I would like to compliment what Madhav Joshi told us. Thank you, Madhav, for this great narration. And thank you for summarizing the broad aspects so well. I would particularly say that because I am MBA in India of 1971, and still we have a small group of classmates who are on WhatsApp, and I am participant in that. They talk all kinds of things, but nobody has this kind of perspective in presenting that. And I always have arguments and quarrels with them, which is always friendly because everybody is an administrator. So this is one compliment. Other is my 1 year junior from the same business school, Rohit Deshpande, son of Crompton Gives managing director